right, hello, my crafty friends. Just making sure I've got the camera set up right. Looks like we are all set. I hope everybody is staying warm today. We live in Southwest Florida so that we won't be cold, but we were in the low 40s today, this morning, and I think we're around 57 right now, so, and it's very breezy, so it's very chilly for us in Southwest Florida, but tomorrow's supposed to be a lot warmer, so looking forward to that. Thank you for joining me. If you're watching live, comment, say hello. I'll see if I can catch the comments. And if you're watching on replay, just let me know you're watching on replay. Today I'm going to show you some cards using the Jar of Joy stamp set. I'm going to turn it a little bit so that hopefully you get rid of the reflection. This is a really cute stamp set to make some Christmas cards. I think it'd be really cute too if you wanted to make any kind of, if you do any baking or send any treats to people for the holidays, you could make cute little tags out of this to attach to your packaging. It has a coordinating punch, which is called the Sweet Jar Builder Punch. And there's also another stamp set that coordinates with it called Sweet Jar. And so it's really cute. It's hard to tell, but these make like chocolate chip cookies that you can put in a jar. And then you've got some 4-leaf clovers and some hearts, some candles. So I love that you can use the punch with both sets. Set this punch over here. And we will jump in and get started. So the first one we're going to make today, we'll let it sit down and move this out of the way to get this glare out of here. All right. So the first card we're making today is this cute little jar of gingerbread cookies. And I will review with you some of the products that we are using to make this card. On all 4 cards, the designer series paper that we are using is called Traditions of Christmas 12x12 Specialty Designer Series Paper, item number 165853. And this paper has actually been on back order for a little while. Kind of give you a little, kind of see all the little pieces. And I'm happy to report it is back in stock. So if you really like traditional colors, beautiful designer paper to make holiday cards with, this designer paper is definitely a must. I would suggest that you order it quickly because it already sold out once and was on back order for quite a while. I imagine it'll probably do the same again. I am also on a couple of the cards going to be using the Forever Plaid embossing folder. And the Nested Essential Dies. We're going to use this on the first card. And then one of my favorites, the Stylish Shapes dies. I use this on so many cards, almost every card. So let's just jump on in. Make some space here on my table. Get my foam mat out, which I love to use for stamping with photopolymer. So we're going to start by stamping on the piece from the Nested Dies. And what we're doing is we're going to just create a background, and we're going to use the little random dots to create a little background. And we're using Old Olive and Real Red ink. So I'm going to start by just stamping with the Real Red. And it's just meant to be random. Looks like confetti. Just gives it a little interest in the background. Makes the back piece just a little bit less white. Just cleaning that off so I can switch to the greens. And then we're going to go to the Old Olive. And we're just looking to just fill in some of the space. We're going to cover a lot of this with our jar full of gingerbread cookies. So stamp as little or as much as you want. And we're going to set that piece aside. I have a scrapped piece of white cardstock, and we're going to get out our black Memento ink. And if you haven't seen this trick yet, instead of using our regular black Memento ink pad, which looks like this, and it's a little smaller. You can see, like, base compared to our normal size, like, it's definitely smaller. Instead of using that, a lot of demonstrators came up with the idea of taking one of our white craft ink pads that is uninked when you get it, and just adding the refill from the Memento black ink to the craft pad to create a much larger surface to stamp with. I love this because it just gives you a bigger space to work with, and I think you get even better images as well. So we're going to start by stamping the outline of the jar. Set that aside. And on a scrap piece of real red cardstock, we're going to stamp the lid for the jar using the black ink again. Just set that black aside for a minute so that I don't mix the ink colors up, because I gotta get out some more ink pads here. Now we are going to use pecan pie for our gingerbreads. Put this aside for a minute. And what I'm going to do first is a little practice. I'm going to show you, because this is a two-step stamp. So it has, I don't know which way you can see it better, but it has where you can see the solid part of the gingerbread and the other cookies, and then the detail that goes with it. And I like to practice before I start putting on my paper, just so that I can see how it lines up. So we're going to just practice with the pecan pie, and then we're adding the real red for the details. I might have to stand up so I can see. So you're going to just look to line up like that. Now, some people actually like to do it the other way, and so they'll stamp the detail part first, and then stamp. So this is totally a preference. So you can kind of play with that and see which way you think is easier. I am going to stamp the detail part first using the pecan pie. We're just going to stamp that right on our jar. We're going to come back with the detail using the real red. One of these days, I'm sure I'm going to stick my head right underneath the camera, because I have to stand up to do this so I can actually see the line it all up. And there we go. That out of the way. Next, we're going to get out the punch. And I love our punches. I do wish we had more of the punches that coordinate with the stamps, because I love being able to stamp it first and then coming in here and punching it out. What's nice with us using photopolymer now going forward for our stamps is that you could punch a bunch of these out before you stamped, and then you'd be able to stamp right on it because you can see right through the photopolymer. But we're going to start with that punch. And then we're going to punch the lid using the same punch. All right. And I believe at this point we are ready to assemble. All right, I'm just looking for my peppermint. There we go. The embellishments that we're using on this card are called our Real Red and White adhesive backed peppermints, and they're just really, really cute. So I just needed to pull them out because I didn't have them out yet. Oh, we're not done stamping. My bad. We have one more stamping to do. So we'll come back to assembling because we need to stamp the words. And I've got the smallest of the circles from the Stylish Shapes. We're going to stamp that using Old Olive. Now we're ready to assemble. So we are using Real Red as our card base, and we are doing a card that stands up versus opening side to side. And so you cut it in half the long way, and then you're going to score it at 5 1/2 and give it a good crease with your bone folder. For the inside, we're going to come in and add a little piece of white cardstock. This is 4 by 5 1/4. So that you can write on the inside of your card. If you prefer, you could also stamp. Like you could stamp a whole nother set of cookies if you wanted to, so that it coordinates on the inside. I like to keep things pretty simple, but every once in a while I do that, or I'll stamp on the envelope. Then I've got a piece of white cardstock that's 4 by 5 1/4 that I have run through the embossing folder with that Forever Plaid embossing folder, and through the machine using the embossing folder. It's just a great background, this plaid one is. We've got some of the designer paper from the Traditions of Christmas. Isn't that pretty? The back side that we're not using. We're going to do our 5 dots of glue. And adhere that to a mat of Real Red. We're going to adhere that to our card base. This is a brand new glue, so I'm getting a lot of glue, a lot more glue than I need coming out, but that's okay. So we're going to put that on there. Then we're going to adhere the next layer, which is our little confetti background. We're just going to center it. For the jar and the lid, we're going to use dimensionals. And one thing I like to do when I get ready for these two pieces to adhere them together, instead of actually trying to glue them together, because like this is a pretty thin piece, so you know you risk if you put glue on here it might smear and then you might get sticky everywhere. I just like to kind of line it up where it's going, flip it over, and put your dimensionals on both pieces at the same time on the top. Kind of see that it's half on the red part and half on the white, and that just holds the pieces together. Add a couple more. we're going to add the saying, and this one just goes flat. I'm not raising that one up. And it kind of tucks underneath the jar. And then I have already cut and tied a bow using the Real Red and White twine. So we're going to use a glue dot to adhere that onto the jar. I can't find the end. There we go. We're just going to come in and grab a glue dot. And there we go. We're going to use our scissors, and you can trim these to whatever length you want them to be. And you have a quick and easy card. It'd be a really cute card if you, like I used to do a lot of baking. I don't know how many people still do baking, but I used to do baking, and we used to give all of our like friends and neighbors little goodie bags, and I would bake like 10 different things. And so every little goodie bag or box had a bunch of stuff in it. And then I would always decorate it or include a card, and this would be really cute to include with something like that. So that is the first card. All right, the second card. We're going to do another jar. And again, we are using the designer paper from the Traditions of Christmas. And this pattern is actually the reason that I bought it to begin with, because I love this pattern with the plaid and the blues and the greens and the reds. It's my favorite pattern for sure. Set this up here. Get out the supplies for this card. I didn't tie this one yet. Okay. All right, so for this card, you can see it. Okay. On this scratch piece of paper, let's go ahead and just get out all of the paper we're going to need for stamping on, and I believe that's it. Yes. So we're going to start by doing the jar, and we're going to use the Memento black ink again. And then, I guess I'll keep that up. We're going to use the Real Red, and we're going to stamp the ornaments. I think the ornaments are really cute. I was trying to find some other cute ideas to use the ornaments for, and sometimes you just aren't feeling creative, and I really struggled with trying to come up with a bunch of other ideas. I thought about hanging them from like something across the top of the card, but I just kind of ran out of creative ideas that day, so we just put them in the jar instead. So there we go. For the sentiment, we are using the Sending a Jar Full of Cheer, and we're going to stamp that using the black. Now I'll move that out of the way so I don't stick my hand in the black. Move it right up there. So we're going to get out the punch, and we're going to punch the jar out again. And I've already punched the lid out of a piece of scrap basic black cardstock. And then we're going to use our scissors. We're going to just cut the words up so that we have little pieces of the sentiment. So we're just coming in and cutting them apart. Sometimes you like the sentiment, but you just don't want it to be that big, or just doesn't fit the shape of the card the way that it's set up. So that's something you can do. You can come in and you can cut it down to whatever size you want to use it. All right, and we are ready to assemble already. So I've got a piece of white cardstock that I've already cut in half and scored. We're going to give it a good crease. Got a piece of real red cardstock and a piece of the Traditions of Christmas Designer paper that we're going to adhere together. Isn't that just so pretty? And we're going to adhere that to the front of the card. From our Stylish Shapes dies, I've cut out a round circle. Round circle, I mean, that kind of is implied when it's a circle, it's going to be round. And this is Old Olive cardstock. So we're just going to give that a few dots. Set that. We are going to use dimensionals. And we're going to do the same thing with the jar and the lid by using the dimensionals to attach the lid to the jar. So we'll figure out where we want it. Flip it over. Attach the jar on top of the circle. I like how the dimensionals just pop it off the card a little bit. And we're going to use dimensionals on the back of the words as well. If you wanted to, and I probably would if I wasn't doing a video, you could cut these in half. Then you would use less, but still get the same effect. All right, and before I start taking off the backing, what I like to do is kind of just lay it out on the card. Get an idea of where I want them to go. And then peel off the backing. So this would be another cute card to include if you're making some goodies. All right, and now we're going to tie the bow. Got another piece of the real red and white baker's twine. We're going to just come in, give it a tie, and then adjust it to the size you want it. If you place an order with me and you get this card kit for free, I tie these for you. So you will already get all of your bows tied and ready to go. I'm going to go ahead before I put it on there and just go ahead and trim the edges. I will send the bows to you though, not trimmed, so that you have the choice of making them whatever size you want to make the ends. And we're going to use a glue dot. We're going to just adhere that. Sticking to my finger, sorry. There we go. Onto the front of the card. right. Card number 3. We are going to use the snowman from the stamp set. And you can see this ornament here that we're going to use to stamp the snowman on is from the Ornamental Christmas dies. I'll turn it upside down. And actually the circle is from that as well. So there's this large circle die, and then there's the ornament die. And that's what we're going to use for these two pieces here. I once again have used the Forever Plaid on a piece of Pool Party cardstock to create our background that we're going to use on the card. So we'll start with the stamping. While I'm thinking about it, we're going to use our light color Pool Party blends on this card as well. So we'll start with the sentiment. We're going to use Real Red. May your heart be filled with joy. Set that aside for a minute. And we're going to stamp the snowman. There we go. I was trying to find the snowman. And we're using the black Memento ink again to stamp the snowman. So we're going to stamp the snowman onto our ornament. And we're going to use, there's another stamp that goes with it that does the scarf and the rattle on the hat. So we're going to use Real Red. Get that inked up. And this is hard to do without bumping the camera. But you're just going to kind of line up on the hat. Just like that. How cute is that, huh? This little red scarf. And then we're going to add some background, make it kind of look like it's snowing. We're going to use the Pool Party ink pad and the little confetti dots. And we're just going to stamp around the edge. We're going to come in with our light blend, and we're going to use the brush end, which is the bigger end, and we're just trying to add a little to the ground just to make it look like it's not just floating. Do as little or as much as you want. You could also do like a very, very light gray if you would prefer. And I believe that is all of our stamping. So we will start working on assembling. So the first thing that I want to do is this strip of white cardstock that we stamped the words on. I intentionally made it longer. So what I want to do is go ahead and just add some glue and adhere it on the front of this Pool Party cardstock that we ran through the machine with the embossing folder. You're trying to center it best you can. There we go. And then we're going to trim off the edges. we're using a white card base again, so half a sheet of our thick white cardstock, folded and scored in half. Use the bone folder to score it. This one's going to open like a book. We'll go ahead and add the pool party piece of cardstock to the front. And then I've got a piece of real red cardstock that I cut out using that large circle die from the ornamental dies. And of course, we're going to use dimensionals on the ornament. Give it a little pop off of the page. In my opinion, you never have too many dimensionals in your craft stash. We just need to add some embellishments. We're starting with making a bow out of the real red and white baker's twine. That's a little bit big. Let's make it a little smaller. Just give it a little adjustment. Still a little big. Let's get our glue dots out so that we can attach the bow to our ornament. We'll go ahead and trim the extra string. And now we're going to add some of these fun peppermints. And we're just using the small size on this one, but there's 3 sizes. You can see there's a large, medium, and a small. We're just going to use the small. I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool to pick them up off of the plastic. Oops. Oh. Putty stuck. There we go. One on each side of the words. So now, instead of making a jar out of this, we turn it into an ornament. Just like to show how you don't have to make every card the same. How cute is that? All right, I got one more to show you today. So we're gonna do, this one's a little different as well. We're making a snow globe out of the jar. I mean, how fun is that? So let me set that aside. Get out all my supplies. All right, and one of the things we're going to use here, I didn't include this at the beginning, our Everyday Arched Wishes dies. I just took one of the sizes. Looks like it's the 4th from the largest. And I cut out the arched die. And then I used my trimmer to come in and just cut off the end because I didn't need the whole piece. I just needed the piece to be able to stick on the card. And it's actually still too big. I'm gonna have to trim it a little bit more. But we'll go ahead and stamp it first. We are using the confetti again. And I need to clean my stamp from last time because we're switching colors. Now, the background for this is cloud cover. And our cloud cover ink pad, when it was released back with the new catalog back in May, they had problems with the vendor on quality control, and so they pulled our actual ink pad that's cloud cover because they couldn't get the ink pad for some reason. The color just was not maintaining the right color. So they pulled it for quality control reasons. One of the things I love about Stampin' Up! Is they won't allow you to purchase something they think is defective. So one of the little workarounds that you can do, you could use just the marker, because they still sell the marker, and you could use the marker to ink up your stamp and use that to stamp. Or the same thing I did with the black Memento ink pad, I used the refill and I got one of the white that I turned it into my own cloud cover ink pad, and I have been happy with the color. I don't feel like the color has changed from the re-inker, so I feel like I'm still getting the accurate color. So what we're going to do is just take our little confetti. We're just trying to create what looks like snow in the background. We are also going to do that on this piece of cloud cover, which should be 4 by 5 1/4, and we're going to just be randomly putting some snow. Now, if you don't have the cloud cover re-inker, one thing you can do is you could use Versamark for this, because when you use Versamark ink on whatever color cardstock you're using, it creates a tone on tone. All right, I want to go back in and just fix some of the little holes that are kind of sticking out to me. There we go. We're going to keep that out because we're going to need that again in a minute. But we're going to do the jar next. Get out my black ink and the jar outline. And actually do it this way. And we are going to do the snowman in black as well. And see, we are doing it upside down this time. Instead of having our jar, we're going to turn it into a snow globe. Stamp our snowman. We're going to come in and stamp the scarf and the hat piece using the Real Red ink. And we're going to use the little confetti dots and the cloud cover ink to just come in and add some snow in our snow globe. Make it look like it really is snowing. Let's move that out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and punch this out while I have it right here. So we're going to turn it the right way so that we can punch it out. Line it up. I've got a scrap piece of cloud cover to use for the lid, which is now going to become our base. And what we're going to do is we're going to just trim off this little piece so that it can sit flat. All right, on this little banner piece that comes from the Stylish Shapes, we are going to, did I cut the right side? Yeah, I did. We're going to use the Real Red ink, and we're going to use the sending a jar full of cheer, but to do so I need to clean it. And what we're going to do is we are only going to ink up half. We're going to just ink up the sending a jar. And since it's photopolymer, you can see where it's sitting on here. You can see that you're doing it correctly. We're going to come in and just stamp that. I'm going to clean that just so that we don't pick up any residue when we do the second half, because now we're going to come in and use the second half of the sentiment and pick up the ink just on the second half. There you go. So now you've used this really long sentiment and you've been able to stack your wording versus having to have a long piece to use for that. Just gives you a little more versatility with it. I believe we are ready to assemble. One thing I'm going to do is get out my paper trimmer. Because this is definitely, as you can see, like it's going behind this piece here, but I don't want it to come this far down. So I'm going to kind of just look at it and be like, okay, I need to trim it about there. Just give myself a little mark for that. So I'm going to just come in here. Trim it off. Now we are ready to assemble. I'm using a white card base again. You probably notice I do that a lot, and that's partially because it just makes it easier to write notes on the inside without having to add another piece of cardstock. Plus, I really like our white thick cardstock because it's thicker than our normal cardstock, and it really creates a nice solid base to work with. Got a couple strips from the Traditions of Christmas designer paper. So we are going to add that to the cloud cover base here. This cloud cover piece is 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm only going to put the glue on each end so that I can tuck that other piece back behind here in a minute. Alright, so what I'm going to do is kind of just judge where this goes. Add a few dots of glue. Tuck it back. I'll tuck it behind both pieces. It always looks so much easier when you're not doing it on camera. It goes so much faster. Okay, so we're just tucking that back behind here. And we're going to add our ribbon. So we are going to run this ribbon. Again, it's the Real Red and White twine. And we are wrapping it around once, and we're going to create a little bow off to the side. Got a really long piece. All right. What I like to do when I do this is I actually like to figure out where I'm going to have it, hold it with my finger. Before I try to tie the bow, I actually like to just tie a knot. get it tight where the bow is going to go. It just makes it a little easier for me, I think, to work with. All right, then we're ready to add the bow. Now you could do this 2 steps if you really wanted to. You could tie the bow out of a smaller piece. You could wrap a piece of twine around here, hold it in place, and then you could add the bow separately with a glue dot. That is another way that I sometimes would do it. Usually when I'm trying to be more frugal with my supplies and use a little less twine. All right, so we got our bow tied. Go ahead and just cut off the edges at the ends. We're ready to adhere that to our card base. And this card is going to open up and down. Our 5 dots of glue. Put our cloud cover cardstock right on the white card base. So for this one, I actually am going to glue the jar top that I cut off the piece. That's going to be our bottom now. I'm actually going to glue that. So I'm going to just add a tiny bit of glue. You don't want to put too much because if you do, it can ooze out and then it makes it sticky. So we'll gently place it on there. And then we're going to get out our dimensionals. We're going to add some to the back of the jar. We're going to put our little snow globe onto the card, and we're going to add some dimensionals, and I actually am going to cut off some dimensionals on the edges here. I like to use the whole thing. And I'm just going to like one on each side. This, when we put it in here, we're going to tuck it under here just a little bit. I'm actually going to trim this because I put the dimensional in the wrong place. I can't get it under there. There we go. It was hitting this dimensional that's right there. So we're going to just put that on there. Get out our take your pick tool, and we're going to use the peppermints. Oh my. Here. They didn't want to come out. And we're going to do a large one here, a medium one next to it, and the small one over here to the left of the snow globe. And there it is, the finished card. I'll do a quick recap so that you can see all of the cards. Excuse me. So, got something in my throat. These are the 4 cards that we just finished making. using the Jar of Joy stamp set and the Sweet Jar Builder punch. If you are interested in getting the card kit for free, you get a card kit that will make 2 of each card. Just place an order on my website by Friday at 5 p.m. of $50 and I will send you the card kit for free. It includes envelopes, includes pre-tied bows, except for this one. You might have to tie that one yourself. And with a $75 order, I throw in a pack of embellishments for free as well. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.